Where can you honestly go from here? The England men's cricket team, think tank, the captain, players and management will all be wondering just that. How did things get to this point where you've now failed in 3 consecutive ICC events, just like the host, Pakistan? Just yesterday, we spoke about England having to face its demons when they took on Afghanistan in a must-win game. They went head-to-head in that contest, but they were undoubtedly outplayed, and the stunned expressions on the faces of the entire England squad during that loss said it all. Now, don't get me wrong, they weren't sitting there unmoving because of that loss to Afghanistan. There is no shock anymore of this country, of Afghanistan, beating any cricketing side in the world. That surprise was more than just for a loss. How did they get to this point? The question I started this story with. You could tell they were surprised by the way they had crumpled to defeat with this one, 6 consecutive times now in one-day internationals. And while it was a collective failure, despite some key contributions, one man bore the brunt of all criticism online, Ben Duckett. Just to help jog your memory, Duckett has managed to irk so many people across the world by choosing to say the wrong things at the wrong time, like this one recently.
If we lose 3-0 to India, I don't care as long as we beat them in the final of the Champions Trophy. If we do that, we probably won't look back on this if we do the business in that competition.
He said those words after England had been thrashed by India in India just before the Champions Trophy. But let's be fair to Duckett. He wanted to show some bravado, and many have fallen prey trying to do just that. So here's one more added to that long list of people. The problem is surely more deep-rooted. It was reflective in the way they prepared for a series in the subcontinent, a series that was the ideal warm-up to an ICC tournament. They were taking it easy, less practice sessions, a few golf trips thrown in between. Jos Buttler did his best to defend the psyche and prep of his squad. But the results, of course, spoke louder. They just had not prepared well enough and were caught red-handed.
For England, take playing in the subcontinent seriously with no excuses. Only then you will be recognized as the team that can travel.
Trust Ravi Shastri to drive home the point, something many other voices in cricket are not shying away from making. The biggest critics of any cricketing nation are most definitely their own former cricketers. And they have sharpened their knives and their pens in their post-mortem of what has clearly been a shambolic campaign by a seemingly overconfident England side.
England have felt they will be all right on the night in the last 3 World Cups, thinking they knew how to do it. They used to look like a military operation under Morgan, but now you never quite know what is coming next.
I've never looked at Buttler and thought, wow, what a leader. He doesn't have that presence in the field that an Eoin Morgan had. I think it's probably time to move on.
Their cricket is way below the standards which they set themselves. Sometimes you just have to say it's not working, and therefore it's time for a change.
You can sense their grief shining through all of that anger that's pent up. England headed into this mega tournament on a whitewash, failing to admit there was much wrong in that result. No warm-up games leading up to their opener in the Champions Trophy, taking Australia on and losing to a side that had no Pat Cummins, no Josh Hazlewood, no Mitchell Starc. And just when they thought their pedigree with the bat and a few key men with the ball will surely turn up the heat against Afghanistan, they came up short. The injury to Mark Wood at the worst possible time, though any time during an ICC event probably is, the part-time of Joe Root and of course a bit of Liam Livingstone making up the overs was not going to fly. England skipper facing the heat now, Jos Buttler, spoke about India having the unfair advantage in this tournament, playing all their matches in a single venue. England played at one venue, Lahore, and yet couldn't get their house in order and win one game. You see how all this stacks up. Michael Atherton, you have to give it to him. Trust him to always ask the tough questions at any given day. He put Buttler on the spot about captaincy, and here's what he had to say.
I'm not going to make any emotional decisions right here, right now. I'll take some time to work that out personally, and the guys in charge will have their own views too. We need to consider all possibilities and get English cricket back to where we should be in white ball cricket.
There is a certain sense of numbness that seems to have come over. This is not the England squad that absolutely ran riot at one point of time. The highs of baseball, a tactic that revolutionized the sport. But strong voices are now ordering baseball to be shut down. Pack that thought away and start afresh. The entire cricketing system here needs a massive sea change in thinking, planning, and only then comes execution. And hopefully, in time for the ICC tournament in India next. England will sharpen their skills and their minds on playing in subcontinent conditions a little better and with more respect.
Merci beaucoup. Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Namaste, Mr. President.
Bharat ke logon ko meri namaste.
How many people generally follow you in interviews?
Typically, in a month, we have viewers up to 150 million. That's more than twice the population of France. And in the last 2 years, we had 3 billion viewers. So I say, Lohon, this is your chance to be famous. You're on Firstpost. One word to describe your equation with Prime Minister Modi.
Amitié.
As India and France work together, are you creating a new era of non-alignment in the technology space?
India is a training superpower. 1 million engineers a year, more than all of Europe and the US combined. So we have that partnership. We have a partnership on the environment and the economy. We also have civilian nuclear programs. And that is something we've developed far beyond the France-India relationship. So we want to work together on AI.
And then comes China with its DeepSeek, creating models at a fraction of the cost. Did that innovation take you by surprise? Did that breakthrough make you sit up and think, what did the Chinese do and how?
But what did DeepSeek do? They took everything that was already available from the last AI model and then they recalibrated it.
So are you going to ban Chinese AI in France?
So we don't have this American approach of banning tech because of where it comes from.